We can start.
Yes, thank you. Well, hi everybody. My name is Adélaïde Calais and I work for Wikimedia France. I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you about WikiFranca. WikiFranca is a French-speaking Wikimedian cooperation network. We've been working together as affiliates or affiliates to be since 2012. Right now, there are 18 members in WikiFranca. That's 5 chapters, 13 user groups, 12 user groups, 1 user group to be, and 2 user groups that are international because they work on themes and not as national user groups. You can see on this map that most of the members of WikiFranca are in Africa, in Francophone Africa or in Arabophone Africa. And we use French as our working language, but we also support activities that will support other languages, of course, because language diversity is a key goal of WikiFranca, and we strive to support it. As you can see, there are still countries that are in green, which are potential new members. Some of them we have contacts in, but they might not have activities often enough to build a user group, or some of them are really young and they're starting. Mauritania, for example, received a lot of support from Wikimedia Tunisia recently to form a user group, and so it would be delightful for us to have Mauritania as a 19th member of WikiFranca. So yeah, we are looking forward to expanding WikiFranca in the years to come. To give you a little bit of context, WikiFranca was created in 2012 at Wikimania Hong Kong, where Wikimedians from 6 different countries decided that they should support each other. That was in part because in some countries where several languages are being spoken, some Wikimedians who were French-speaking felt that they were unheard and that they needed support from other French-speaking countries so that they could exchange experiences and skills and contacts, maybe. So it started this way, and it was very informal at first. It was just Wikimedia Canada, France, Switzerland, Belgium, Italy for some reason, and Wikimedia Tunisia, and which wasn't a user group yet, but they were again going to be, which is always fine at WikiFranca. And the first program that they developed together was the French-speaking International Month of Contribution. This takes place in March. I'll tell you a little bit more about it, but it takes place every year, and it's been running for 8 years now. And then in 2016, we thought as a network that we needed to meet up every year to get to know each other, because talking on the projects is fine, but it's also, if we want to build a real French-speaking community, an international one, we need to meet each other and to get to know each other. So the Wiki Convention is a Francophone event, and it's been running since 2016. And again, I'll tell you more about this later, but those first two projects are kind of the backbone of WikiFranca. And then as we go on with these 2 projects that help us develop this community, every time we meet again, we realize that there are new needs and new projects and new ambitions. So it led us in 2018 to open micro grants from 2 chapters in WikiFranca that had the money to do so and that could raise funds, for example, to open their micro grants to other members of WikiFranca. And that was a way, for example, to fund workshops that take place during the contribution month in March. And for that to be funded by Wikimedia France or Wikimedia Switzerland, that was one way to go further in our cooperation and in the help that we can give each other. And lately, since 2020, we've been working hard to structure the cooperation because it's getting so complex and so, well, it's very international, that's true, but it's also raising more and more questions. And as we go on and put forward more and more programs, we are faced with questions of conflicts of interest, of political problems. So we really wanted to put things down and write them down and make sure that everybody was on the same page and that we had sort of the mechanisms to share responsibilities and to put everybody within WikiFranca in a role of decision-making and not have some members that make the decisions and the other ones that kind of suffer them. So this is a short history. I'm going to delve into it a little deeper. First off, the contribution month that takes place in March has, so the idea of this event is that all members of WikiFranca are invited to organize workshops and training sessions and sensibilization sessions to talk about Wikipedia, but all Wikimedia projects are welcome as well. And to sort of put them all on one same event page. The idea behind that was to create a focus to raise attention in the media, but also in the movement, and to also show each other that other communities exist. Sometimes, especially on French-speaking Wikipedia, we can get the impression that some contributors don't realize just how diverse and how complex the French-speaking community is. And this was a great way to show that there are initiatives and activities being held in other countries and across the world. When we opened up microgrants from 2 chapters to other members of WikiFranca, this event also became a great way for user groups, for example, to organize more activities and to develop their activities, because it was easier for them to reach out to the microgrant commission of, say, Wikimedia Switzerland and say, we want to organize something for the contribution month, which Wikimedia Switzerland knew about. We need this budget, this grant for these and these activities. And it was a great way for these user groups to develop a month-long program of sessions, say every weekend, for example, and yeah, to just build up skills and experience. So we're pretty happy with this program, and we're going to continue holding it, of course, every month of March. The second activity that really changed and shaped WikiFranca was the Wiki Convention. So it's been taking place every year since 2016. We used to change cities every year. So it took place in 3 different cities in France the first 3 years, and then it took place in Belgium the 4th year. The 5th year was supposed to be in Tunisia, and there were talks about which city to choose when COVID hit. And so that edition, unfortunately, didn't take place. But this year it's taking place online, and it's being organized by Wikimedia Tunisia. with Wikimedia France as a partner. And yeah, it's taking place in 2 weeks on the 21st and 20th of November. The format was always 2 days of conferences. And in 2019, we also added 2 days of learning days / WikiFranca referees meeting. This is because with these 18 members, each member has a referee to represent them at WikiFranca meetings, so that we can actually take decisions without having to put on a big vote on Meta, and to also avoid some communities being drowned by the number of other communities. So that's one way we found to make WikiFranca sort of fairer by having one referee for each member. And these learning days that took place in 2019 at the Wiki Convention really taught us a lot about ourselves and about what we wanted for WikiFranca in the future. And we had a vote, of course, to make some decisions, and the key decisions for the future was that we realized we wanted to structure WikiFranca, to make it, to give it processes, to maybe write up a charter, and mainly we wanted to make it a user group and a non-profit organization if we could, because with the opening of the grants from 2 chapters towards the other members of WikiFranca, it raised a lot of questions about who was making decisions and just what kind of relationship we wanted to have between each other within WikiFranca. And we thought that making it a user group and a non-profit would allow us to build a grant committee to actually elect people who would choose whose activities could be supported, and to have it to make it more representative of the diversity that we have in WikiFranca. Just to give you one example of the kind of project that WikiFranca can support and just how international it is. So the Digital Summer School in Haiti took place in 2018 and in 2019, and it was organized by Renzi Inson, who is a Haitian Wikimedian. He both times organized his event with half the funds coming from local sources, so Haitian sources, and the other half coming from Wikimedia France and Wikimedia Switzerland, because at his digital summer school, he was presenting things about Wikidata and Wikimedia projects, and he was really training these people to become contributors. And the trainers that he invited to support his actions were trainers from Wikimedia Canada. So what I wanted to show with this case was just how interwoven our interactions are, and how we can build projects with a little bit from everybody within WikiFranca. There are other projects like that I didn't write up on the slide, but for example, in the spring of 2019, OpenStreetMap in Togo wanted to learn to contribute to Wikimedia projects. And we did pretty much the same, but with trainers from Wikimedia Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, who went and trained these OpenStreetMap contributors to the Wikimedia projects, and they then held a couple of workshops as well during the month of contribution. So that's a second example. So in the last 2 years, we've been working to structure WikiFranca, and Our first goal, of course, was to make it a nonprofit and a user group, but we realized that for that we needed to write up a few documents and make sure that we were on the same page. So we wrote two charters. One, which the cooperation charter, which was just to act on our will to cooperate, just to make sure that we agreed on our values and on what we wanted to do together. The second one was more difficult. It was the governance charter, which was a way to share responsibilities and roles. And the third document was the strategy for 2021 and 2022. These are all available on Meta. One thing we've been developing as well are webinars. This is mostly because of the health context, because we couldn't travel. So we started developing webinars on budgets and finances, and also on volunteering and dealing with your time. We're going to be able to do to hold the inaugural assembly for WikiFranca to become a nonprofit organization at the Wiki Convention on the 20th of November. So that's great news. And just to give you an overview of what we hope to do in the future, Wikimedia Côte d'Ivoire has been working really hard to prepare a program of capacity building. This is because we know that the soul of WikiFranca is to share skills and experience, and that is exactly what capacity building is. So we are looking at programs of webinars and MOOCs, but also training sessions with trainers possibly traveling to neighboring countries, but also sharing and centralizing knowledge online on Meta. We've been doing this a little with the page that we have for WikiFranca, but it needs to go further. The second thing, of course, was that we want to pool resources. We want to pool funds together and create a grant committee for WikiFranca itself that will be ideally representative of the diversity in WikiFranca. To make sure that and this is it's to make sure that we don't have sort of different roles or different power within WikiFranca. And the third thing is we really hope to, through this nonprofit organization that will have a legal existence, be able to support user groups that want to develop partnerships with cultural institutions and that can do the work but can't sign the papers because they don't have a legal existence as a user group. We hope that WikiFranca could be a proxy for that and can also develop programs and partnerships with networks of institutions, because that would be just a great leap for French-speaking sources, and to provide places where people can gather and contribute and have access to internet and sources. That's it for me. Thank you for listening to me. And I will now take questions for 4 to 5 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adelaide. I think we don't have a question.
Okay.
Maybe I think we need to close.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Great. Bye.
Goodbye.